What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your RPG2X15. As you can see, it comes with a mixer. You also get 2 speakers and 2 speaker stands. You also get 2 1/4-inch cables to connect your speakers to the mixer. You also get 2 microphones, 2 XLR cables and 2 mic clips, a power cable to power your mixer, and a wireless remote. So one of the first things we can do to set up our RPG2X15 system is to set up these speakers. To do that, we'll start with the speaker stands. If we take a look at the stands, you'll see we have these 2 knobs here. So this top knob we can use to adjust the height of the stand, and then we can use this bottom knob here to adjust the legs of the stand. So we'll adjust the legs first by loosening the bottom knob here. And then now if we push down at the base of the stand, you'll see that it spreads the legs out, and we can spread them as wide or as narrow as we want for our setup. And as soon as we've found the position that we want, we can just tighten the knob back up to lock it in place. So next we can adjust the height of the stand using the top knob here, so we can loosen that up. And then we can pull up on the top of the stand here. And as you see it come up, you'll see these holes here, which we can use to adjust the overall height. So once we've found the height that we like, we can use the most bottom hole here to secure the stand with this safety pin. So we're gonna take this safety pin and run it through this most bottom hole. And as we set it down, you'll see this keeps the top of the stand from collapsing back down. And for extra security, we're gonna tighten the top knob to lock it all in place. So once we set up the stand, we can now mount our speaker to the stand. So to do that, we'll take our speaker, and if we look at the very bottom, we'll see this knob, and this will help us loosen the pull mount at the bottom of the speaker. So we're gonna loosen that up. Then we're going to take the speaker and line up the pull mount at the bottom to the top of the stand like this. Then we're gonna set it down to the stand just like that. And then we're gonna tighten the knob on the back of the speaker to secure it to the stand. So now that we have our first speaker all set up, we're gonna follow the same exact steps to set up our second speaker with the second stand. So the last thing we can do to set up our speakers is to connect them to our mixer. So to do that, we'll grab the 2 1/4-inch cables that come included. On the back of the speakers, you'll see we have 2 sets of inputs. So we can use this one if we have 1/4-inch to speak on cables. And then this one right here is the one we're gonna wanna use with the included 1/4-inch cables. So we're gonna take one end and plug it into the 1/4-inch input on the back of the speaker. Then we're gonna plug the other ends into the speaker outputs on the back of our mixer. Keep in mind when you're gonna unplug the speaker, you're just gonna press this red button here, and then from there you're able to safely pull out the 1/4-inch cable. So now that the speakers are all set up, we can continue with the rest of our setup. So before we dive into the setup for our mixer, let's go ahead and break down all of the controls, inputs, and outputs. So starting with the back of the mixer, you'll see we have the speaker outputs, which we use to connect our speakers, and these are 8 ohm stable, so you don't want to pair it with anything other than 8 ohm speakers, unless you had 2 16 ohm speakers, which then you can connect 2 speakers per channel. And then next to that, we have the 1/4-inch line output, so we can connect any powered speakers or powered subwoofers. Just keep in mind that this line output is not powered, so if you try to connect a passive speaker or subwoofer using this line output, it's not gonna work. So again, you just wanna make sure that you're pairing it with a powered speaker or powered subwoofer. Below we have the power switch to power on or power off our mixer. So moving on to the front of the mixer, you'll see that we have 8 channels that we can use so we can connect any microphones or instruments. So you can connect your microphones using the XLR inputs, and then you can connect your instruments using the high-Z 1/4-inch inputs. Next to that, we have the volume knob to control the volume for each channel. Above that, we have a 2-band EQ with the treble and bass knob. We can use the treble knob to adjust the high end of our channel and the bass knob to control the low end of our channel. So we have some options on how we want each microphone or instrument to sound. Next to that, we have the reverb knob, which works with our effects controller towards the bottom of our mixer. So we can use these knobs to control how much of that effect we want on each channel. And then to adjust the effect itself, we can go to the effects controller, and you'll see that we have 3 controls for these. So we have the volume knob to adjust how present the effect is throughout the whole mixer. We have the echo knob to control how many times the effect will echo, and then the delay knob to control how long the effect lasts. Next to the effects controller, we have an RCA input and an RCA output. So we can use the line input to connect any external devices like an MP3 player, record player, DVD player, etc. And then we have the RCA record output to send the signal coming from our mixer out to a recording device like an interface. And then we have the line in knob to control the volume of our line input. So with the XLR input, you can connect any dynamic microphones, including the ones that came with the RPG2X15. And you can also connect your condenser microphones because we have a phantom power button over here to power your condenser mics. Above the effects controller, we have a 5-band EQ, so we can adjust the overall sound coming out of the mixer. So for example, if you felt like there wasn't enough high end coming through, you can adjust the 2K and the 8K bands. You can adjust the mid frequencies with the 800 band, and then you can adjust the low to mid frequencies between 60 and 800 Hertz. At the top, we have the display and the buttons to control music playback. So we have a pause and play button, a skip forward, and a previous button. We also have a repeat button to repeat the tracks plugged into the MP3 inputs. And then we have a mode button to switch between different sources available on the mixer, like the USB and SD card input, the FM radio, and even Bluetooth. Keep in mind, as soon as you plug in a USB thumb drive or an SD card, the mixer will read that right away. And lastly, we have a master knob to control the overall volume coming out of our mixer. And then we have an MP3 volume knob, so we can control the volume of any of the MP3 devices plugged in. The microphones come included in these pouches for protection, and it also comes with 2 mic clips so you can set them onto mic stands. So like I mentioned, they come in these pouches here, so we can just take each microphone out. And we even have the XLR cables to connect these mics to our mixer. So for today, I'm gonna show you how to do that with one of my mics and XLR cables, but if you want to set up the second microphone with the second cable, you're just gonna follow these same exact steps. So I'm gonna take the female end of my XLR cable and plug that into my microphone, just like that. Then I can plug the other end into the XLR input of any available channel on my mixer. So for today, let's use channel 1 right here. So now let's go ahead and power on our mixer using the power switch. So the next thing we're gonna do is raise the volume knob here for channel 1. And then to hear everything coming out of our speakers, we're gonna wanna raise the master volume over here. Now the cool thing about these mics is the on and off switch. So whenever we're not using our microphone, we can flip this to the off position. And as soon as we're ready, we can flip it to the on position. So whenever I'm ready, I can flip this switch on. And now if I talk into my microphone, check 1, 2, you should be able to hear my voice coming through the speakers. Above each channel, we have the 2-band EQ with the treble and bass knob to adjust the sound of each channel. So we have the treble knob that we can use to adjust the high end, and then the bass knob to control the low end. So if I raise the high end, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, you'll hear my voice sound a lot more present. And if I lower it all the way down, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, you'll hear mostly bass coming through now. So now let's raise it back to the middle, check 1, 2, and now we have a nice balance. And then we can do the same thing with the bass knob. So if I raise it all the way up, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. You hear my voice is now a lot boomier, a lot bassier. Then I can lower it down, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. And now you're hearing most of the high end coming through my voice. And then we can raise it back to the middle. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. And that's a nice balance. So you can use this 2-band EQ to adjust the sound of the microphone, and you can also use it to adjust the sound of your instrument. We also have the option to set up condenser microphones to the mixer, and to do that, you're just gonna follow the same steps that we use to connect our dynamic microphone, except you'll also want to engage the 48-volt phantom power button to power your condenser mics. So another great addition are these mic clips here that we can use with our dynamic microphones, so we can place them onto a mic stand like this one here. So to attach your mic clip, all you're gonna do is go to the bottom of the clip and line that up to the top of our stand like this. and then just screw it on. And now from here, you can take your microphone and just slip it onto the clip like that. So now this will hold up our microphone if we want to be hands-free and talk into our mic, or this is a great chance to set up an instrument so we can sing and play the guitar at the same time. Now we can set up an instrument like our guitar using the high Z input on our mixer. So to do that, I'm gonna need a 1/4 inch cable. So I'm gonna plug one end into my guitar. Then you can take the other end and plug it either into the same channel as your microphone or to a separate channel so you have independent control. So I'm gonna take mine and plug it into channel 2 so I have that independent control. So next I'm gonna raise the volume knob for my instrument channel. Then I can raise the volume on my guitar. And now if I play, you should be able to hear the guitar coming through the speakers. So like I mentioned, you can have a setup with your microphone and guitar setup at the same time, which is great for live performances, band practices, and much more. So check 1, 2. Here I'm singing, and here I'm playing. And we can also give our voice or guitar some extra flair by using the built-in reverb. So how that works is that the reverb knob works with the effects controller here towards the bottom of the mixer. So we can adjust the overall sound of the effect using the echo and delay knobs. So we can use the echo knob to control how many times the effect will echo, and then the delay will control how long the effect will go. And then we have the volume knob to control how much of the effect we want present throughout the mixer, and then we can use the reverb knob to control how much of that effect we want on each channel. So for this setup, I'm going to set my echo and delay knob to the middle. Keep in mind we can adjust these parameters to preference, so feel free to experiment with that if you're not getting the exact sound you're looking for. Then we're gonna raise the reverb knob here on channel 1 for my microphone. And then we'll wanna raise the volume knob on the effects controller, again, so that we can have the effect present throughout the mixer. So to test out the effect, I can talk into the mic. Check, check. So now you can hear the effect coming through. And again, we can play with these parameters, so if we want more echo, we can raise that knob. Check, check, check. And if we want more delay, we can raise that knob. And now we have a very cool effect on our mic. And the effect will work with any instrument we have plugged in. So if I raise the reverb knob on my instrument channel and start to play, you hear that effect on the guitar. So let me quickly explain how the Bluetooth works for our mixer. So we're gonna go to the mode button here and press this button until it reads Bluetooth on the display. If it reads disconnected, that means that it's looking for a device to pair to, like our smartphone or tablet. So to connect our device, we're gonna go into the Bluetooth settings, search for the name Rockville here and click on it to pair. And now when the display reads connected, you'll know your devices are linked. So to hear the music coming from your device, you're gonna use the volume notches on the device itself. Then you'll wanna raise the MP3 volume knob here on the mixer. And then we'll wanna raise the master volume so we can hear everything coming out of the speakers. So now let's hear how it sounds. Nice, sounds good. So because we can connect a Bluetooth device like a smartphone or tablet and our 2 microphones that come included, this would make for a great karaoke setup. So first let's go over how to set up the microphones. To do that, I'm just gonna be using one of my mics and one of my XLR cables, but keep in mind if you wanna set up the second microphone, you're just gonna follow the same exact steps. So I'm gonna take the female end of my cable and plug it into the microphone just like this. Then I can plug the other end into the XLR input of any available channel. So for this microphone, I'm gonna plug it into channel 1. So now I'm gonna raise the volume knob for channel 1. And now if I talk into the microphone, check 1, 2, you should be able to hear my voice coming out of the speakers. Again, remember, if you want to set up your second microphone, you're going to follow the same exact steps, but plug it into a different channel other than channel 1 since we're already using it with this microphone. So now to set up the music for my karaoke setup, I'm going to be using my tablet here. So I'm going to first make sure that the mixer is set to Bluetooth mode by pressing the mode button until we get to that Bluetooth source. At first it will read Bluetooth disconnected, which lets us know that it's looking for a device to connect to, like our tablet or a smartphone. So now I can go into the Bluetooth settings here of my tablet. I'm then gonna look for the name Rockville here and click on it to pair. And then once it reads Bluetooth connected, I'll know my device is linked. So to hear everything coming from the tablet, you're gonna wanna use the volume notches on the tablet itself. You're also gonna wanna raise the MP3 volume knob on the mixer. And then to hear everything, including the microphone and the tablet, we're gonna wanna raise the master volume knob. So now to play some music, I can go into the YouTube app on my tablet, search for any karaoke version of a song, start singing along with my mic, and don't forget we have the reverb knob on each channel so we can give our microphone some extra flair. So for the reverb, I can raise the reverb knob here on channel 1 to add it to my mic. I can then go to the effects controller and raise the echo and delay knobs to taste. And then to hear the echo throughout my mixer, I'm gonna wanna raise the volume knob here on the effects controller. And now if I talk into my mic, check, 1, 2. You hear the effect right there, so now we're all set for some karaoke.
Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold, only shooting stars break the mold, yeah!
So the last thing I want to show you guys is how to expand our setup even further using a powered subwoofer. So next I want to show you guys how you can expand your setup by adding a powered subwoofer. We're going to do this by using the 1/4" line out on the back of the mixer. Remember, this is a non-powered output, so you would want to use this with a powered subwoofer or a powered speaker. If you try to use the line output with a passive subwoofer or speaker, you won't hear anything coming out of those. So to connect our sub to our mixer, we're gonna take a 1/4" cable and plug one end into the line output on the back. Then we're gonna plug the other end into the 1/4" line input on the back of the sub. So now to hear everything coming out of the mixer and our subwoofer, we're gonna wanna raise the master volume knob. You'll also wanna raise the volume on your subwoofer and set the low pass filter to the desired frequency range. And now everything we play through the mixer will also come out of the subwoofer. So let's hear how it sounds with our setup. Oh yeah, really makes a big difference. That's so cool. Wow, you really feel it. That's tight. So keep in mind you can use the same exact steps if you want to set up a powered speaker instead of a subwoofer. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your RPG2X15. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.